So experts are now telling us to get ready because we may see bank runs in the near future. Now, I want to address this because we are seeing some pretty big banks are warning that they are seeing their unrecoverable debt is soaring. It is increasing as we speak, and this could mean trouble to the rest of the United States. So I want to break down what is happening, what we are potentially going to see, and why experts believe bank runs are going to happen in the near future. So make sure you stick around and watch this entire video, and I'll explain exactly what is going on. But all I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates, and now let's begin. So a bank run here in the United States, could it really happen, and what does that mean? Well, let's answer the second part first. What is a bank run? Well, a bank run normally happens when a bank is struggling. So a bank is struggling, so normally they go out there and they try to get a loan and borrow money from another bank, a bigger bank, a more solvent bank. And if that happens, great. If not, and now they are concerned that they have no additional money coming in, well, the bank's customers, their depositors, are going to go to the bank and ask for their money back. Well, when they do that, and they do that in hundreds or thousands of people do it every single day, guess what? They run out of money, especially when people are going into a bank and simply closing their account because they do not trust that bank anymore. Now, we've seen this over the past couple of months. We've seen many different stories where people go into a bank and the bank teller tells them, sorry, I can't give you all your money, that we don't have it here. Okay, banks do not hold 100% of your deposit. They don't. It's not sitting in the back in a vault where you come in to the bank that you deposit in and you can just access it. It's not a safety deposit box. It is a bank. Okay, you're pretty much giving them the money, and they will, well, some cases they'll give you a very small return, a very small interest payment, but then they go and use it. They take that money and they invest it into, car loans and commercial loans and just different properties or whatever, right? Okay. Well, here's the thing. Could a bank run actually happen? The answer is yes. Many people predict that a bank run, okay, this bank run of 2024, or in my opinion, 2025, could be the largest bank run we have seen in decades. And the reason for this is simple. Okay, first, Republic First Bank closed just the other day. This is the first FDIC insured bank fail in 2024. But now we're hearing that Wells Fargo is potentially going to be the big bank that falls. Now, I don't know for sure, and again, I don't want to spread misinformation, but that is just what we are getting from many economists. Multiple banking experts are saying that Wells Fargo is the big bank that will likely fall. It will not be Bank of America. It will not be Chase Bank. Okay, it's going to be Wells Fargo. Now, I want to show you this. It says JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America suffer a $4.5 billion loss in losses as unrecoverable debt soars. This was just from the other day. Now, I wanted to bring this to your attention because we are seeing many banks are posting their their financials and showing us where they are having problems. Well, we're also seeing some of these banks, they're seeing their unrecoverable debt is increasing. Okay, this is something that we see every single year. A certain amount of people cannot pay back their loans. We know that. I talked about creditors just the other day, or about a week ago, and I talked about how MasterCard is saying that if they see their unrecoverable debt increase by, I think about like 80%, they would go under. It would be a massive crisis. Okay, we've talked about Visa, talked about American Express as well. A lot of concerns here. I want to show you one other thing though. Why are economists? Why are they worried of another U.S. banking crisis? Well, it actually has to do with what happened on March 11th. Back on March 11th of this year, okay, That was what they're calling the red letter day. Okay? It says the red letter day is March 11th, when U.S. Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, will end the Bank Term Funding Program. This one's big. A year after it began in response to the failures of regional banks Signature, Silvergate, and Silicon Valley. What you need to keep in mind about this is the Bank Term Funding Program. This program, over the course of, it happened in July, or started in July, and from July to October of 2023, the Bank Term Funding Program, it lent banks about $110 billion. Okay? Over the following handful of months, since November of 2023 until March 11th, the banks actually borrowed another $51 to $52 billion in funding. So total, they had about $161 billion that they had borrowed that has to be paid back. And it has to be paid back, I believe, over the next 10 to 11 months. That is the issue. So as banks who are already struggling, which is why they were borrowing money, these banks now have to go and pay back that money that they borrowed, in addition to they obviously have to just run their business, right? A bank is a business. So not only are they struggling before, now they have this debt that requires immediate payment. Now they got to start paying it back. Well, the problem is they don't have the money. And if we see a bank run on top of banks trying to give the money back to the Federal Reserve, the problem is the bank is going to have a liquidity issue. The banks do not have enough money that they can go and pay back this loan, give all their depositors their money back, and then the bank is still flush with cash? No. This is why many believe we are going to see a bank run at a smaller scale. It's going to happen at a very small bank or a regional bank. Okay? Then it's going to grow. We're going to see JP Morgan Chase or Bank of America, maybe Wells Fargo. I don't know for sure, but we're going to see some of these bigger banks gobble up the small ones. Just like we saw just the other day where Republic First Bank closed, but Fulton Bank decided they're going to pick them up. They had $4 billion in deposits. They had $6 billion in assets, and Fulton Bank decided, yeah, we can pick them up. We can take on this bank. We can take on Republic First Bank. So here's what I can tell you. And I'm giving you this warning about this possible bank run that could happen in the near future. The reason for this is because we are seeing right now the American people are becoming a little more educated. Now, I'm not saying for sure there's going to be a bank run. I'm not saying everybody in every single city and state needs to go out there and get their money. Okay? In most cases, your money is going to be perfectly safe. But here's the warning. If we see a bank run on a regional bank or a larger bank, here's the problem. The bank is going to have to give those depositors their money. As they do this, the bank is going to go and look for a bigger bank to give them a loan, let them borrow money, or they'll go right to the Federal Reserve, right to the U.S. Treasury and see what they can do for them. As this happens, if we do see a bank collapse, people lose their jobs, okay? Somebody else has to take on that debt, those liabilities, which is going to probably be a bigger bank. And so that bank, again, has a little bit of some issues coming in. But again, people lose their jobs, communities change, right? Businesses will go under. And again, all this is troubling now, but if the Federal Reserve, which they are now discussing, I guess, they're now discussing the possibility of raising interest rates. We currently have a federal funds rate of 5.25 to 5.5%. That is hurting banks right now. But if they decide to increase it to, let's say, 5.5 to 5.75, or maybe 5.75 to 5 or to 6%, that's really going to cripple the U.S. economy. That's going to hurt many banks, and at that point, we could see more banks collapse. But here's the issue. The Federal Reserve needs to raise rates in order to push inflation down. But if they raise rates, there will be a banking crisis. Okay? We will see multiple other issues following the banking crisis. Businesses are going to struggle. Again, this is just the beginning. So, do we see a run on the banks? Possibly. But again, it might come down to what the Federal Reserve decides to do. And we should know more on that later this coming week. So, I promise I'll fill you in on all the latest news as soon as we get it. But as of right now, that is what we know. So again, Thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.